Welcome to the Gearbox Podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Purdy. On this podcast, we're not just exploring the latest trends and technologies in the automotive industry, we're also getting real about the journey. Yes, the bumpy road of mistakes and lessons learned hard along the way.
This is the Gearbox Podcast.
So Mars 2024, is this your first time at Mars?
It is my first time at Mars, yep.
Right on.
It's been cool. What
do you think about the Institute?
The Institute's been great to work with. I think it's really interesting what they're doing regarding the marketing aspect of automotive repair shops, right? And I think there's so many avenues when it comes to automotive repair. And you got the imports, you got the Euro, you got general automotive, you've got specialties like transmissions, things along those lines. And I think what they're doing is great. It's one thing to be a business owner in a small business space. It's another thing to have the tools and resources with people like the Institute that want you to succeed and grow, scale out that business.
And so you were talking about marketing here when we were talking downstairs a little bit, which, and we'll get into why you're here generally, right? For hiring techs, which is like pain point for everybody.
Sure.
Like as we grow, we need more people, but the Institute has a different way of coaching. And I don't know if you're familiar with the other coaching companies that are out there.
Not incredibly familiar.
Okay.
I've seen them in other industries, so I imagine it's something similar to that, but definitely I would love to learn more.
Yeah, it's the best, right? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
The Institute has the best coaching program.
They do, absolutely.
But, I mean, we were talking last night at dinner, too, about the differences in coaching companies and how you kind of get stuck in, like, I don't know, without saying like a culty vibe, but you kind of like follow it without really like understanding what it is that they're trying to give you, right? And a lot of coaching companies want to put you in a contract, right? And the Institute doesn't do that. And it's just got to like agree with you. Like you got to listen to who's running, who your coach is going to be, and actually like truly believe in your heart of hearts, like this is who I want and this is on my side and what I want my shop to be. And I guess without you looking for a shop coach, it'd be kind of hard to wrap your head around that situation. But it's that though,
right? I think there's I think a lot of approaches for some of these things are, hey, we're gonna give you plan A through Z, and you're gonna follow plan A through Z, even though it might not directly relate to your business the way it needs to be, right? And I think we talked a lot about value last night. Being able to find a coach that you can pair up with, match up, understands you, and really wants to work with you and coach you through a specific problem, but also has a diverse network they can reach out to help you succeed is huge. I mean, that's paramount to trying to scale.
That's a good way to put that. And success is different for so many people. And that's what I think a lot, especially if you're new, if you just open a shop, say in the last 6 months or a year, like you don't even know what it is. You just know that you don't want to work for somebody.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that why everyone opens a business? I don't want to work for the man.
Hey.
I want to work for myself. Yeah. And I don't know what that is.
I'm going to bet on myself, right? And actually be able to engage a variety of people.
But then, like,
awesome.
What does that look like? Like, what is that vision path? And, like, what do you want to have your culture be? Do you want $200 AROs and deal with 1,000 people a month? Do you want, $1,500 AROs and only deal with like 30 clients a month?
Right.
Like, so you got to like figure out what your why is and what you're doing.
Right.
And sometimes it's just talking to like many different coaches out there until you're like, dude, I like what this guy's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't even know that's what I wanted until you heard it.
Yep.
So it's, and that was for me, that was interesting that when I got into with the Institute, it was like, I didn't know. Like, I thought I knew.
I think a lot of people that become entrepreneurs, they want to work for themselves, right? But there's so much that goes on behind the scenes to make a business successful. And we're talking about different levels of success, different definitions of success. My definition of success might be different than your definition of success, right?
Right.
Not everybody wants to be a 10, 12 shop owner.
Right.
People are totally fine in 1 or 2, 3 shops that's going to ultimately drive them and be happy, right? And you talked about culture. Culture, I think, is a portion of having an ideal customer profile, which we've talked about previously. It's a matter of being able to drive value to your consumer. We talked about transparency. Transparency is also huge for a lot of businesses as well, and really making sure that you can have repeat customers, right?
Yeah.
Those recurring customers that you know are going to be loyal to your business. Because let's face it, really every industry, and I saw this in previous industries that I've worked in previously, the repeat customers are where it's going to be, right? That type of customer relationship that you can go ahead and establish and make sure that you're both driving value mutually is pretty paramount.
I mean, that's what we all want. I mean, I can't say that. Like I said, everyone's definition of success is different, but I think like once you get to a certain level or you get around a certain group of people, like that's the goal, to retain a high-level client and establish a relationship.
Yeah.
And then we can all take care of each other.
Absolutely.
They take care of my family. I take care of their family, right?
Sure.
For me, it's financial. For them, it's to keep the car on the road. But,
sure.
I mean, that's the idea, right? Like, it goes back and forth. Like, obviously, I got to work for money. Like, it's not free, but I got to charge for it, right?
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, I think, to running a business. But it takes a long time to figure that out, I think, for a lot, right?
Yeah, a lot of trial and error, a lot of, I'm a big fan of working in startups. I've worked in startups my entire career until I started with my current role now. And I would say we're even taking a more of a startup approach and attitude to the North American market as we tackle it, right? We're moving fast, breaking stuff, seeing what works, and trying to just learn. I think that's the most important thing that we try to accomplish, right? Is be a sponge in every industry that we're approaching, but also be a thought leader in what we do know about, right? And in this case, it would be the hiring side of things.
Yeah, and on that note, we can make that transition over. We'll shift gears into what that is. So I'll start with an introduction because I'm terrible with that.
That's okay. Yeah, my name's Jay Wygotsky. I'm the Associate Marketing Manager of North America for a company called Teamtailor. We are an all-in-one solution for hiring auto mechanic techs as well as other industries. We've got about 8,000 plus clients across the entire globe, primarily focused in Europe, but making a big push into the North American market right now. We essentially give you a customized career page where candidates can go ahead and apply. So you can put a video up there, you can talk a little bit about your business and really focus in on what's called employer branding. And employer branding is what a potential candidate is going to see when they come to your website to apply for a position. It's potentially a day in the life of what it's like to work with your company. It's maybe some of your core values, right? You really want to be able to show off that employer branding side of a business that attracts talent, not only attracts talent, but attracts the right amount of talent. I think a lot of people think about trying to find more candidates, and they're looking at a big volume of candidates, potentially 1,400 candidates in certain industries for a specific position. But out of those 1,400, you can only make 1, 2, maybe 3 hires, right? And so you create a lot of noise in the funnel, which is something that we try to simplify on the back end. So a candidate comes to your website, they learn a little bit about your business, what the position is that they're going to apply to. On the back end, where you are administratively, you can set up various stages of applied to a specific position, is now being interviewed, going ahead and automating that entire flow on the back end so you can make an accurate decision with the rest of your team and collaborate and actually go ahead and make that hire in a very efficient process.
That's rad. That's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, it is a lot.
But when is hiring not a lot?
Yeah.
And I think that's a pain point for me. I think a lot you listening right now probably can relate to that. Like, hiring sucks. Like, it sucks. Firing sucks even more, but hiring sucks.
It can be brutal. I think, the most important thing for us at Teamtailor is to try to simplify that process for you and make it a process that's scalable, right? I mean, we talked about various levels of success. Not everybody wants to have, 5, 10, 15 different shops in the automotive industry, and that's totally fine. But if you do want to get to that 15th shop, you need to have a process that's scalable for you to go ahead and hire people from day one.
Right.
That way you can go ahead and know, okay, my HR personnel is going to be able to do this. My hiring manager, my shop manager can go ahead and post a job where they're located, make sure that they're going to get candidate flow, because we do tap into Indeed and all the major job boards, and make sure that you're not kind of what we call service hopping, having to go from Indeed to Craigslist to any other platforms that you're using currently individually. We centralize all of that in one system out of a box so that you can go ahead and make that scalable.
And I mean, a lot of that's like up to the shop too, right? Like,
Absolutely.
If you don't have the culture, like, what are you promoting, right?
Sure.
We're at a marketing event. We were just listening to the same thing about, like, not just branding, well, not just your logo, but having a brand, right? Like, you got to brand yourself,
Sure.
right? And it's like, I've realized that with the shop. Like, as I start getting more technicians in and I start building a better culture and they start telling their friends, I get more people coming in wanting a job. I'm like, what's going on? Like, what did I change? Like, is it like, and sure, I use ChatGPT for my Indeed posting,
Sure.
right? Like, I'm just like, whatever,
Sure.
it can write it better than I can, right? And it's like, oh, maybe that was the trick, right? But it's like I start looking around and I'm like, I got 4 technicians and they're all laughing in the middle of the day, having a good time. And it's like, what? Maybe that's the ticket. So how much is that? Is like when you bring on a client, how much of that like client advocacy that you have to give to the shop owner? Like, look, I can find you people, but you got to retain them, right?
Yeah. So we operate different than a recruiting service, right? A recruiting service has a pool of candidates that they go ahead and choose and try to place with a specific business, right? Ours is pretty much highlighting the brand of that business, hence the name employer branding, right? And making sure that we can get your job listing out into as many hands as possible, right? And I think the employer advocacy side of things is huge. We have a feature called a story feature. If you're familiar with Instagram stories, it's a little short. You can go ahead and record those on our platform and show what it's like to work at the shop. So your guys that are laughing in the middle of the day, having a good time, you want to highlight that culture and show it off to people that are applying to your positions, you can do that in that system, right? And it allows you to really show off that company culture that you've built, because culture is not built overnight, right? It's something that is cultivated as accumulation of, potentially months, weeks of people kind of having this camaraderie and the leadership that really drives forward that culture.
Yeah, and I think that's like the critical point in having a good shop. And we've all worked at one where the culture wasn't good, or I worked at a company or somewhere it was like, it's just not right.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you just walk in, you're just like, I'm not having a good time here. It don't matter how much you're getting paid.
Sure.
And it's just like, it's so massive. And so when you're going through, and I know you said you're not like the recruitment style, but on the vetting of like bringing in advisors, bringing in technicians, bringing in employees to a shop, how does that vetting process work?
Yeah, so typically you'd set up a interview process very similar to whatever your interview process is internally, right? And our whole point is to be able to process that systematically through software solutions that just make very clear stages of where you are in that interview process. You can go ahead and set up say, interview kit that allows you and the rest of your team to see exactly what questions are being asked. You can tag various teammates, et cetera, that can go ahead and organize that entire functionality, right? So in terms of us bringing in text necessarily, it's really showing off what it's like to work at that specific location. And then the rest of the process is handled by your team internally.
Oh, I see. So you just kind of give them in a sense of the top candidates, and then you say, and then it's up to like the hiring manager of the shop. Is that kind of the direction?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can rank different candidates based on different skill sets if you wanted to. So you can rank them 1 through 5 if you wanted to. Say, okay, this is this specific candidate is a 5 in personality, is a 4 in skill set, is a 5 in a various region of whatever the interview process looks like.
And then as you continue that relationship with your client, do you keep tabs on that? Do you start learning, like, you have like a client, success manager in a way where it's like once you've hired a few, they kind of get an idea of like what the shop's looking for and they can better serve that process?
Yeah, so every single one of our clients gets a customer success manager associated with their account. Support is huge, specifically in an industry like automotive industry where, on the smaller scale, you may not have those processes, or you may be looking for best tricks, tips, et cetera, to go ahead and make sure that your company's best foot is being put forward for a lot of candidates. The job market is incredibly competitive right now, and so we want to make sure that you're getting the proper candidate, right, the best fit that you can possibly get. That starts with your employer branding. It starts with your internal processes and making sure that you have a team member essentially from our team, kind of like think of it as an additional team member, right, to go ahead and help you out with that process.
Like a PR person, huh?
Almost. Sure.
You won't say that. I don't know about that. Some people can't be helped. But I've come to find that's like part of the issue is definitely making sure that, and it's the same with like bringing in car count, right? It's like you can have a marketer bringing you 100 cars a week, but if you're not answering the phone, if you're not answering the phone right, like they're going to go somewhere else. And it's got to be the same thing with like hiring process. And I don't think a lot of us, I don't know, I don't say a lot. I think it's me. I'm definitely like opinionated, because it's like you open a shop and you're moving forward and you hire people and you're like, hey, I gave you a job. How come you don't want to show up? Right. And it's like that I don't know if you were raised in that same generation of like, just show up for work, right? Like, doesn't matter if you're sick, hungover, or whatever. Like,
Sure.
if you got a job, be grateful for the job you have and just show up. And I know that's kind of like frowned upon in this like in this day and age, right? And it's like, but I get it, like, because we've all worked somewhere where we didn't feel like we were appreciated. Some of us just put our head down and just did the job. But then other ones got smarter than me, and we're like, wow, I could work somewhere else because I don't like this place, right?
Well, that's the thing about the job market, right? Is the job seeker for I think what you're describing is a more traditional job market, right? Where work from home was not a choice for a lot of people, where you didn't have maybe flexibility within your day-to-day role, right?
Right.
Now we're seeing specific job seekers look for those types of benefits depending on the type of position that they're located in. It's different for auto mechanics and maybe shop techs, etc.
But right? I mean, but really, is it though? I mean, we're kind of looking all for the same thing,
Sure.
right? Like, we want to be appreciated.
Work-life balance.
Yeah, I mean, most technicians are pretty sensitive. We're sensitive guys, you know. We like to have a little appreciation. Everyone likes to be paid.
Yeah.
Finding the motivation, right, for certain employees. That's another really hard thing. Is like, what's your motivation? Like, do you want to be paid? Do you want time off? Do you want to work from home? Because I think that's where the difference is like, well, if the benefit you're looking for is to work from home, that's not going to work at an auto repair shop.
Sure.
Like, it's just...
Unless you're a marketer.
Like, well, good point. But you can't take the car home with you, like,
right.
you know, like, so, and work on it in your driveway or whatever. But there's so many creative solutions that guys are coming up with now to have that, like, you know, and hiring, say, a marketer instead of using an outside company.
Yep.
Right. And then having them work. So it's interesting how things have changed in just the last few years, right? I'm sure you've seen that in the auto industry.
Looking at kind of some of the trends, right, of how you're acquiring your customers. Customer acquisition cost is a lot, right, for a lot of businesses, and really understanding what that looks like from point A to point B all the way down to point Z, right, in terms of you in your first look. I mean, we've seen trends from TikTok, right, and kind of the short form video format really take off over the last 5 years or so. And I think shops that are using trends to document their day-to-day through things like TikTok may or may not realize how powerful that platform is. And it really is a powerful platform. And that's just one example. I mean, you have Instagram stories that allow you to do something similar, or Reels, right? That really allow you to outreach a specific niche of customer or ideal customer. Just
the power of the social media that is not being encapsulated is just, it kind of blows my mind a little bit, because we're all on it, right? We all watch it, but we don't utilize it. It's like this powerful tool that's free, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you're worried about using it because the Chinese are gonna, like, because they're watching you, right? Like, that's the big thing with TikTok. Like, oh, they're using that data, and it's like, okay, well, if you need free marketing, it's like you don't get much more cheaper than that.
You know what I love about it is not only is it free, but it gives you an authentic platform.
Good point. Yeah.
And I think authenticity, especially with my generation of consumers, right? I'm 28 years old, about to turn 29. We're shopping differently. Who we're going to for help, or who we're taking our car to, is different.
Yeah.
And I think that authenticity is what we look for in various people that we work with, or people that we're investing in when it comes to actually having a service completed.
And like, how important is it to look at a TikTok video, or even like, postcards, like you get something in the mail, right? And you see this like picture of the shop, and then you show up to the shop and it's totally different.
Yeah, sorry, but I might be turning away from that. I think that, again, it's speaking to authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think what's nice about a platform that gives you a short form and gives you the opportunity of kind of highlighting what it's like to actually go to that shop. Maybe it's an instructional video that I've seen for changing your oil or something like that, if you weren't aware of how to do that previously, or properly filling up your tires, right? I mean, these sound like simple things to maybe you and I, because we're car people.
Yeah.
Right? But to a person that's never done it before, or somebody that wants to look for information on how to do that and maintain their car, it's huge. And I think I keep coming back to authenticity, because I think a lot of people look at these short form videos and want them to be fully produced. Well, let's go take a step back and remember that the biggest person on TikTok or on Instagram didn't have a perfect video to begin with. And that's great. That's okay, actually. I think a lot of people would rather see a little bit of a stutter in a video, or perhaps dropping the oil, kind of drain cap out into the oil pan,
Get a little
for
frustrated,
it, right? I mean, it's that really connection that you can make with somebody personally that helps drive the marketing of that business. And it is not something that's going to take off overnight, but if you do it consistently enough, you're going to reach a far different audience and maybe stretch out a little bit further than you would have seen if you were perhaps doing targeted ads like we were doing, like you and I were talking about.
It's such a good point, and I think we all have a problem. We all want to be a perfectionist, and especially in the automotive field, you get to a point where you're so technically savvy that you want to sell that technical ability, right? But it doesn't translate.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah. It's such a good point that you brought up, because it's so true. You spend so much time with the editing and how to make a video. It's like, dude, just do a live video.
Just start
and see what happens.
Just start. I think that's the hardest part, is starting, right? And it's because we see, I think, a lot of content creators have these perfect videos. It looks like it's scripted from start to finish. Well, it's taken them a long time to find that formula that works for them and their audience, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't start to begin with, you're never going to be able to figure out what your formula is. And I think, personally, it all starts with authenticity.
And it's not just pulling a client with that authenticity. It's hiring employees.
Sure.
Like, if you're going to, you're taking it to the next level. Like, sure, you're going to start a relationship with a client, service or vehicle, hopefully for the next 10 years, 15 years.
Yep.
Maybe even have their kids start coming to you.
Sure.
But they're not there every day, right? You're going to hire somebody. You guys are living together, right? Like, spend more time at work than anywhere else. So it's like, to have that authenticity and see like a potential employee see that, how pivotal is that, as well as like, it's like marketing, not just your shop for clients, but every time you put something out there that's not scripted, that you make a little bit of a mistake, that you show that vulnerability, right? It's like you get more people that are interested in what you are doing, and that could potentially be a client, and you don't even think that's happening.
Yeah, it's a client opportunity, but it's also an employee opportunity, right? And again, they both really start with your brand and what your voice is as a brand, and really being able to show off and highlight what that voice is, whether it's on your website, whether it's on your social media, whether it's in your conversations that you're having with people at an event like this, right, with the Institute.
Yeah, and I know we talked a lot about like these nuances. So how much of this stuff do you help with your clients as you take someone in and help them with the hiring process?
So a lot of our stuff is really focused on that front-facing end of things, right? We are really big proponents of not telling you how to run your business, but rather providing you with a solution of tools that gives you kind of like a war chest for you to tackle different various problems within the hiring process, right? So we've seen maybe XYZ work for one client and ABC work for a different client, but they might not work for each other, right? It's just a different process. So we really focus on showing off what it's like to work at that company, showing off exactly the culture of that company through an employee page, being able to simplify that process, allow you to scale for it.
Yeah, so like we were talking, like some people don't want to be on TikTok.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to be on Reels. They don't understand. They don't want to do the videos. They're shy. They don't like it. They don't want to be on camera. So it's hard for them to hear these good ideas, but then actually take the initiative in that action.
Sure.
So hiring a company like what you got, that simplifies it for them, right? I mean, that makes it a little easier to kind of, I guess, determine what their culture even is, because maybe they don't even know.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's, maybe you've never had a career page that allow you to put a video up on what it's like to work at your shop every day, right? Maybe you haven't had.
Maybe not even thought about
maybe
that.
You've never even thought that that's a thing, right? And that it totally is. I mean, it's one way of actually drawing candidates to you and choosing your shop versus working at perhaps a bigger shop, right? Or a smaller shop that's just local to them because it's local to them, right? It's a matter of highlighting everything that your company does that allows that specific candidate to say, you know what? I actually want to work at this specific shop, right? Maybe it's a video of your guys laughing every day. Maybe it's a snippet of a company party that you guys had, or an interaction with a specific client that you've had, et cetera.
Yeah.
And that's very, very powerful, especially in today's job market, where job seekers do have other options to go and different avenues to go, depending on where you are in the country and what type of position you're looking for.
And highlighting the positivity, right? Because like, what's everybody always say? It's not going to work for me. That doesn't work in my neck of the woods, right? I don't know what kind of client or what kind of employee that I want. It's like all these negatives. I don't have a huge shop. Like, I already have too many, and it's like you got to tailor it to what you're looking for, right?
Sure.
Like it's so frustrating to hear all the negatives that come out of a lot of people in that position, right? Like that stuff's not going to work in my market. There's a technician shortage. I'm never going to find anybody, right?
Yeah, well, there's various avenues of finding the type of employee that you need for your business, and not every business, just like you may not want to be a dozen shop owner, you may not need to have 10 employees within your business, right? And there's multiple avenues that you can go to find different pockets of talent that might not be in one specific avenue. For example, if you're posting on Indeed and you've consistently saturated the job market with your similar posting, that's one pool of candidate. It's not the entire bunch. And so when we work with a company like us, you can go ahead and post to various job boards. We might have a job board like a ZipRecruiter that might work a lot better for you versus an Indeed, or a local job talent market pool, right? That allows you to kind of tap into that undiscovered talent pool that might work for you.
So, and on a little like behind the scenes, what is something that really, really kind of baffled you, or wow, I'm pulling a lot of candidates out of this, right? Because we all know Indeed and ZipRecruiter and Monster, sure. And like, do you have something that's like really baffled you? Like, wow, I can't believe how many clients really are looking at, like, Craigslist, right? Like, does anybody still post on Craigslist for employees? Is like that kind of stuff. Like, do you have anything that?
Yeah, so I've been in HR tech for the last 2 years or so, about that time. I've only been with Teamtailor about 3.5 weeks, actually. So
oh, wow.
So rather new to the team, but not new to the HR space, right? And in previous industry that I worked in, a lot of companies, depending on where they were regionally, let's say in the middle of Illinois somewhere where you had maybe 5,000 people population, how do you go ahead and fill a position when you've already saturated that market, right? And so, one thing that is nice and useful is the ability of choosing exactly which job board you're going to go ahead and access, right? And really trying to figure that out. And what I like to call a guerrilla marketing style way of doing things. And by that, I mean being in the weeds and getting creative and moving fast and potentially breaking stuff and taking risks that allows you to tap into an undiscovered talent pool. And so, one thing that kind of baffled me, and I think still baffles me, but it makes total sense, I think, on depending on the industry, is the lack of attention to employer branding and understanding just how powerful your brand is when it comes to a job seeker. I think a lot of people, in tech might look at an Apple or Google or an NVIDIA or Microsoft as like one of their dream companies, but there are so many other smaller companies that are doing something that they aspire to try to be the size of one of those companies and have such a significant impact that, those companies are the top companies for that specific type of candidate simply because their employer brand is huge, right? And their consumer brand is huge.
They don't realize how many other software companies there are that would treat them just as well.
There's other opportunities.
There's other opportunities that you might even be happier with. Because how many times have you heard someone say, "Oh, I finally got my dream job," and then 6 months later, like, "I don't like it here."
It wasn't cut out to be exactly what I thought it was going to be cut out to be, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I think that that's just one aspect of business and trying to figure out who your ideal customer profile is, who you want to be as a brand, and really highlighting that brand not only to a customer but to your employees.
Yeah, but then also being able to cut ties. And like the emotional part of it, like hiring someone and realizing they're not a fit for your culture and having to let them go, even though they're a lead producer. That's a big problem in the industry. You find, your rock star, unicorn, A-level, top producing technician, but he's poison, right? And it's like, it's just bringing the culture down. And we just talked in depth about how important culture is to the next hire or to keep the retention of everybody, the clients to employees. You got to have a good culture. You got someone bringing your culture down and you got to get rid of them, but he's making you money. He or she's making you money.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's through any industry, anything out there. Like it just blows me away how long it takes to cut that cancer out, but it's really, really hard.
It's never layoffs, firing people, et cetera, never easy. For any business, and it's.
Do you do that too for anybody?
No. We are simply a software.
Now there's a hole in the market right there. Like we're your hiring company, but we're also your firing company.
Yeah, no, we are simply a software solution to try to make hiring a lot faster.
Separate from that conversation real quick. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Nobody wants to do that.
No, I mean, ultimately, we want our clients to succeed, right? In whatever level and definition of success it is that is for that specific company. And give them the tools that allows them to scale quickly, efficiently, and sustainably. I think that's really key, especially with an economy that's a little rocky for a lot of people right now.
Absolutely. Well, final notes here, final thoughts for you. What have you seen in this new generation technicians, right? So the big thing I've heard, especially with shop owners, especially kind of older shop owners, is that the new generation is not going to be mechanically inclined. They don't know what they're doing. They're buried on their phones. They're never going to be mechanically inclined. I don't see that. What's your thought on that?
I don't see that either, personally. I'm 28, but most of my content, it comes from either a TikTok or an Instagram reel or old school forums when it comes to looking for cars. Like I said, I'm building a 1971 Datsun 510 right now, and I can tell you everything about that car. And I'd like to say people of my generation are mechanically inclined, but you have to meet them where they are. And that's the difference.
Yeah. I got no interest in EVs.
EVs are interesting. My personal gripe, and this is just my personal gripe with EVs right now, is their range. I don't think until it's a 1,000-mile range and a 15-minute charge time that you'll find me in an electric vehicle.
That's fair. I think that's what the issue is too. We want to go fast. We want to go fast now.
Yeah. Well, I drive. I'm a big proponent of driving. I drove a Toyota Prius for the longest time, and what I loved about it is 40 miles a gallon, and I can get to Oregon in two gallons or so from where I'm from, and come back 2 tanks and where I'm from, and come back in another 2 tanks, and the very next day I'm off to Arizona. But if I wanted to try to do that in, say, electric vehicle right now, it would take me about 4 hours longer. And that's just 4 hours that I'm not willing to be in the car, because now my trip is 16 hours versus 12.
Right. It doesn't make any damn sense.
Yeah, not for me personally.
And it's not like fun and cool, It's not as cool as a damn Datsun, I mean,
which is also a work in progress, as you know, projects. They take a while.
They don't take a while. They're just never done.
This is true. There's always something to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Thanks for coming up here.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you too.